Let's talk now to another former First Minister of Scotland, Lord Jack McConnell. Jack, very good to talk to you this evening, but not on this news. What is your reaction?
Well, I think there will be shock, as has already been said, right across the country this evening, not just in Scotland, but across the UK. No doubt that Alex Salmond was one of the most significant UK politicians of the last 30 years. My immediate thoughts are with his wife Moira, who will of course be more shocked at this news than any of us, and I think we should all be thinking about her this evening. But we've certainly lost one of the most significant politicians, as I say, that has impacted on the UK over the last 30 years, a formidable opponent, and someone who clearly loved his country. Even though he was so controversial at times, nobody can doubt that he loved his country and wanted the best for it.
Without him, would there have been a referendum, do you think?
Well, I think that's hard to say. I think he changed the Scottish National Party, made it more broad-based, more focused on policy, and then obviously converted that increased popularity into government. I wouldn't want to speculate at this time about what might or might not have happened if it had been him or not him who ran that campaign. I don't think it's helpful in the immediate aftermath of such shocking news to comment on the politics of it all. But I think the reality is that he was still, even after all this time, he was still making an impact in Scotland and elsewhere. And there are many, many people very devoted to Alex who will be shocked and stunned and saddened this evening.
I think the point that I was trying to get to is, fundamentally, has anybody done as much for Scottish independence politically than he did? He seemed to be able to connect with the electorate and connect with Westminster in terms of getting his message across in a way that hadn't really been done so significantly, so effectively before.
Yeah, he fundamentally changed the Scottish National Party, which was pretty much a fringe movement until he became an MP and then became its leader. And he widened its appeal across many different strands of Scottish life, and was successful in winning votes from all of his opponents and creating that broad base that increased SNP support and increased support for independence. And I think without Alex Salmond, the SNP would certainly not have been in a position to have a referendum and then to get so close to realising their objective. So I think that is definitely significant. But he did contribute in a wider way, I think, to debates in policy as well as in nationalism, and I think that all of those debates will be lacking a voice in the years ahead following this shocking news today.
You've been First Minister of Scotland. You know what the job's like. What kind of First Minister do you think he was?
Well, he was obviously a controversial figure, and much has been said about his time in office. I do think, though, even particularly in the early years, that he took the realism, the pragmatism that the SNP had developed in opposition under his leadership into government in the early years, and was focused on governing and policy. Although obviously that then developed into the years campaigning up to the referendum. So I think, alongside his very strong position on independence and his devotion to the nationalist cause, I think he was also interested in other issues. He was definitely interested in economic policy and in many other areas of policy, and that I think was one of the reasons that he became successful at building that broader coalition back 20 years ago.
You talk about him being a formidable opponent. What was he like to go up against?
Well, it was certainly, you certainly had to be on your toes. Debating with Alex Salmond, we had many ups and downs over the years, but yeah, I always respected his skill as a debater and as a proponent of his point of view, his energy and his campaigning pizzazz. So, you know, we had many tough battles. But as I said, you know, I think tonight, not only do we think about his wife Moira, but we also remember somebody who loved the country, who made a significant impact in UK politics, not just in Scottish politics over these 30 years and more, and who was a formidable opponent and always somebody who you really had to match if you were going to be even just in the game.
Jack McConnell, good to talk to you this evening. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.